Recording. Welcome back, everybody, to the Parsha review. This week's Parsha is Parsha's Bamidbar. Bamidbar, in the desert. But guess what? It is the first portion in the fourth book of the Torah. It's the 34th portion from the beginning of Genesis. We had Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, and now we're in the book of Numbers. The book of Numbers. This week's Torah portion is always preceding Shavuot. It always precedes the holiday of Shavuot. There are 159 verses. There are 1,823 words and 7,393 letters. There are no mitzvahs, not positive, not negative. There are no commandments given in this week's Torah portion. And it deals largely with the traveling of the Jewish people and the encampments around the tabernacle. So, it begins with the census. The book of Bamidbar is known as the book of Numbers in the secular name of this book of the Torah, because it deals with many countings of the Jewish people, numbers. But we actually see something unique here, and that every single individual is counted. You're not a number. You're somebody, right? You're not. Now, the Jewish people are in the desert. Why is it so important for this Parsha to always precede Shavuot? Our sages tell us because being like a desert is the prerequisite for receiving the Torah. You want to receive the Torah? Be humble like the desert. Not a lot grows in the desert. It's usually low-lying. People step on the desert. Or as they call it here in the United States, flyover country. It begins with God commanding. This week's Parsha begins. So as I was saying, in order to receive the Torah, you need to be humble. It's the essential ingredient to acquiring Torah. A person who's arrogant cannot attain Torah and make it part. You can be a creature of habit. That anyone can do. But for Torah to really consume a person and transform them, they need to be humble. So this week's Torah portion, this book of Bamidbar, begins with God commanding Moshe to take a census of all men over the age of 20, old enough to serve in the army, old enough for service, up till the age of 60. The count reveals just over 600,000 Jews. Now the Levites are counted separately. Why are they counted separately? Because their service will be unique. So they have a different role. Just as a side note, I was going to put this in the notes, but I decided not to. This whole business with equality is a fabrication of our modern day culture. There is no such thing as equality. Not in Judaism and not anywhere. It just isn't real. There's no such thing as equality. I know it hurts us because we're primed in our modern day culture that everything needs to be with social equity, and we need to have everything be equal and equal and equal. There's no equal, right? You grew up in a Jewish home. Did you get a free entry into university because of what is it called? Affirmative action. Hello, we're a bigger minority than the African Americans. A lot of money, exactly. A lot of money goes to. We didn't get free handouts, and yet the Jewish people are still at the top, always, wherever they went. That's not fair. That's not fair. Well, I'm saying it's just like if you're starting to talk about everything needs to be fair and everything needs to be, equality. It's not equal. It's not fair. It's just the reality, the way God created the world. And take it the way it is. That's the way it is. It's not going to be fair.
It's equality of opportunity, not outcome.
Oh, very good. So what's not equal? There's no equality of opportunity for you and any other guy who's trying to get a university. He has a bigger chance of getting in, even though you're a bigger minority than he is. Or actually a smaller minority than he is.
But I got in on my merit.
Oh, okay. But that's the bottom line is that the Kohen has a higher status than a Levite, and a Levite has a higher status than Israelite. And that's just the way it is. And it's not equal, and it's not fair. And you know what? We weren't able to get from the offerings that were brought to the temple, but the Kohen was. Well, that's not fair. We should start picketing and rioting.
He got no ancestral lands, so there was a trade-off there.
No, because he got in wherever he wanted. He wasn't limited. That's even more so. It's like, oh, you're from the tribe of Benjamin, you're only getting here. You're from the tribe of Judah, you only get here. Oh, you're a Kohen from the tribe of Levi, wherever you want.
But
you're not limited to any specific.
When the land went back every 50 years, none of it went back to him. His portion was the portion that was taken from all the other people who got the lands.
Put it this way. The Levites and the Kohens were very, very wealthy people, right? And they did very well. And I'm just pointing out that equality is not really a thing. It's not really a thing. Now, we have to try to give every person an opportunity, try to give every person the ability to succeed in their lives. But let's not kid ourselves into thinking like we're able to make that equality. We're not. Right? Every child today in the United States has school, and if they utilize it, hopefully they'll learn something. All right, I pay a fortune of money every year to educate my children in a Jewish day school. I don't get no government program for that. Right? A religious family.
Your education for your children because it's a Jewish education.
Well, I have to earn significantly more money in order to educate my children in a Torah way. So that's not either fair. I should get a free handout for that too. But we don't. And that's the reality of how it works. And I'm not going to complain about it. So the Levites will be responsible for transporting the Mishkan and its furnishings and assembling them when the nation encamps. So wherever the Jewish people, wherever they traveled, the Levites were in charge of disassembling, traveling with it and transporting it, and then reassembling it when they arrive at the next destination. The encampments. What were the encampments? The 12 tribes of Israel, each with its banner, which is also, everyone had their own banner. You ever wonder, why can't we just get along? Why can't we just do kumbaya and not have to have separate camps and separate, why can't we do that? Doesn't. You know why? Because everybody likes to have their own identity. Everyone likes to have their own. It's like, it's a capitalist market. Communism is that everybody needs to wear the same, eat the same, live off the same, except for the people in government. They can do whatever they want, right? But Hashem realized the nature of the human being that he created. We all need our identity. Everybody needs to associate with something. They associate with their tribe, right? If you're a Dolphins fan still, or a Texans? You're still a Dolphins fan. So when there's a football game going on, you're like, it's not my Dolphins. Okay, I might be interested because of the players, because you know a lot about sports and you enjoy sports, but you're more interested in your Dolphins. Why? Who cares? Have you ever met a Dolphin player? Have you ever met a Dolphin player? You did. You shook his hand. You said, "Hey, how are you? Is he still playing? Is he still playing? He's not playing anymore. So what interest do you have in the Dolphins? I'll tell you what it is. Everybody wants to feel connected to something.
Yes, that's it.
Right? You feel a certain affinity, it's my town, it's my people, it's right. Even though the guys aren't even from Florida, right? The players are usually not even from Florida, but they were just recruited by Florida and hard. Everyone wants to feel something. Right? So each tribe had their own flag, had their own color, they had their own banner. That they felt proud that they
all observe the same.
What do you mean they observed the same?
At the same Torah.
Oh yes, definitely.
Everything.
Yes, but everyone had their own shape and size. I once got this question. Someone said to me, Rabbi, give me a break. It says, the Torah observant community doesn't have anything organized. I mean, come on, look, you have like 50 different Hasidic sects. I'm like, 50? That's an understatement. I said it's like 500 or 5,000 Hasidic sects. It's unreal. He says, why do you have so many? Why? Just have one and finished. Okay, they'll walk around the payas. Everyone. I said, you really don't understand. It's like everyone has their own uniqueness. Right? You think it's just like they all look the same. I hate to say it in a way. People who are from the Far East. You tell them, oh, you're Chinese? Like, excuse me, I'm Japanese. No, I'm from Korea. I'm from here. It's like right? Someone who comes from the Far West doesn't know the difference. Right? It's like when we look at Hasidic people, like he's a Chassid. It's like they're all the same. No, they're not. They wear different hats. If they have a hat to begin with, if not a fur, and then there's a shorter fur, a taller fur, a different fur, a black fur, a brown fur. There's all the different types. Many that you don't even know how their payas goes. There's some that tie their payas up like this. There's some that have it like this. There's some who have it like this, and some who have it like this, and some who have it like that, and all over many different ways.
Can you tell
You know what?
In the sects when you see the people?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
And many times, even themselves, they'll ask each other, "Are you from Vishnitz? No, I'm from Square. I'm from here, from there." It's like different ones. There are hundreds of different Hasidic dynasties, but you know what's unique? They all keep the same Torah, but they all have a different flavor to it. The same exact laws. They start Shabbos the same exact minute. They take out Shabbos just as late. They say the same Kiddush and they say the same Havdalah. And they learn the same Torah. But the flavor is a little different. This one likes strawberry and this one likes raspberry. And it's perfectly beautiful. The Almighty wants the Torah not to be just an object on the wall or something on the shelf. He wants you to live it. And the way you live it is when you make it yours. You put in your own flavor to it. Right? And to many of us, our flavor of Torah became torch flavor. And you go to someone else's class, you're like, it's not the same. It's not. I go, yeah, I'm a torch Jew. Right? It's fine. Everyone should feel it's their flavor and take ownership to it. And that's what we see here with the tribes, that everyone was able to take their own flavor and make it their own. Each tribe had their own flag, their own identity. Now, where they encamped, they were arranged around the Mishkan in 4 sections, 3 in the east, 3 in the south, 3 in the west, and 3 in the north. Right? And then inside of those, you had the Kohen and Levite families. Okay, the 12 tribes. Since Levi, the tribe of Levi, was singled out, the tribe of Yosef was split into 2 tribes, and you have Ephraim and Manasseh. Right? We got that?
Yes.
So you have Ephraim and Manasseh, which were 2 tribes, and Yosef, who was the oldest from Jacob's real wife, is right, the one he wanted, which was Rachel, so he gets a double portion. We know that if a father has 9 children that will inherit that child, that parent, the oldest, if he is a boy, gets a double portion. So it's as if you have 10. You divide it up in 10. We are actually a family of 9. My parents should live very, very long lives. But after 120, right, whatever inheritance there is, it's not divided to 9. It's divided to 10, because my oldest brother will get a double portion. That's what the Torah commands us. So Ephraim and Manasseh were the double portion of Jacob. Jacob, right? Because Joseph was his firstborn, so to speak. When the nation travels, they march in a formation similar to the way they camp. So if they're traveling north, everyone just faces the north and they all travel together. Okay, transfer of power. We talk about a peaceful transfer of power in the United States government. Every 4 years or every 8 years, a formal transfer is made between the firstborn and the Levites. Till now, the firstborn were given special priority, and they were doing special service in the preparation for the temple, in the service, not actually bringing offerings. That was only the Kohen, but the Levites now took over the job of the firstborn, and the Levites take over the role of the firstborn. That the firstborn would have had serving in the Mishkan, if not for the sin of the golden calf. So if we didn't have the sin of the golden calf, the firstborn would still be serving in the temple. That's why, very interestingly, when you do have the redemption of the firstborn, we didn't do yours yet.
No.
We have to do it. So when are we going to do it? Let's schedule a date. Let's make it happen. So we have to do it. Are you a firstborn? Oh, you have an older brother. That's right. So that mitzvah, one of the things that we do is that the women, so you put the baby, firstborn, it's all linked. The firstborn, sin of the golden calf, the exodus from Egypt is all tied together. We'll talk about it at your Pidyon event. We'll talk about it. But you put the baby on a silver platter. We'll put you on a big silver platter. And then all the ladies take off their jewelry and they put the jewelry on that platter. Why? Because they used that jewelry back in the time of the sin of the golden calf. The women took off their jewelry to make the golden calf. So this is a repair for it. A repair for it is that now they take it off for a better, proper cause.
You get to keep it?
Yeah, they get it back. Don't worry about it.
No, maybe.
It was taken from them by their husbands.
Oh, okay.
The transfer is made using all of the 22,000 surveyed Levium from 1 month old and up. So the Levites are not counted from 20 and up, rather from 1 month old. Why 1 month? Anybody know why 1 month?
Not considered viable.
Exactly. A baby is not considered viable till 30 days. After 30 days is when we consider it. And that's why their Pidyon Haben, the redemption of that firstborn, is on the 30th day after birth. Because at that point, it becomes a viable living being.
Rabbi,
Yes, sir.
there was an upper limit of service for Levium. Did they
50.
stop in the counting?
Yes. Only Levium between 30 and 50 would work in the Mishkan. For other service, it was 20 to 60. For this, it was for Levites, it was 30 to 50. The remaining firstborn sons are redeemed with silver, similar to the way we redeem our firstborn today. Okay, the family of Levi, the sons of Levi, are divided into 3 main families: Gershon, Kahas, and Merari. Gershon, Kahas, and Merari. Besides the Kohanim, the special division from the Kahas family. So we have Moshe and Aaron came. They were the children of Amram, who is the son of Yitzhar, who is the son of Kahas, who is the son of Levi. Amram ben Yitzhar, right? Ben Kahas, ben the children
Korah was
of
the son of Yishar, who wasn't he a brother
no.
of
One
Laman?
second.
And they were Yishar is the son.
Levi had 3 children, right? Gershon, Kahas, and Merari. Where's my Chumash here?
I'm pretty sure you're right, Rabbi.
I'm right.
Yep.
I'm right. No, Bruce has to be right.
No, I could be wrong.
He can be right after you're right.
And there's a Aminadab in there too.
Actually, in the blue one over there, on the bottom shelf, all the way in the corner, next to you, Wendy.
I'm looking for what?
All the way in the bottom
Second
is
to the bottom.
the stone edition.
See them, the blue? No, one shelf up.
No, not those. No, on the bottom shelf, there should be a blue. Those are prophets.
There's not.
A blue, he's looking for a blue Chumash.
No, that's the prophets. The one on the second shelf.
Yeah?
All right. We'll verify the details of that. Either way, the family of Kahas carried the menorah, the shulchan, the table, the altar, the mizbeach, and the holy ark, the arum. That was their job to carry specifically those items. Now, traveling arrangements, because of their utmost sanctity, the ark and the altar are covered only by Aaron and his sons. Before the Levites prepare them for travel, they would cover them, and then the Levites would be in charge of the rest of its transportation. But it needed to be covered only by Aaron and his sons. Now, why is there so much traveling? And why does every single traveling, it says, and they Vayisu vayachanu, vayisu vayachanu. They traveled and they camped. They traveled and they camped. They traveled and they camped. It's like imagine you're going on a trip from Texas to California, right? You need to make a note of every place you stopped and every motel and every place along the road. And we stopped by Buc-ee's, and then we stopped by Buc-ee's, and then we stopped by No, I'm just kidding. No. Right? No, but why? What? Do you know what Buc-ee's is, by the way? Okay, welcome to Texas. We'll teach you about Buc-ee's. It's a landmark here. It's a landmark. It can be, yeah. Every encampment was a different amount of time.
And how was that determined?
It was determined by the heavenly cloud that traveled with them. It was a cloud that led them, and as soon as the cloud rested, that was camping grounds.
Okay.
And when the cloud rose up, everyone had to pack their bags. Let's go. We're on our way, and the cloud would guide them. And the Jews lived in a very special, unique, miracle way. But why is it so important to list each place that they traveled from, and they camped here, and they traveled, and they camped, and they traveled?
I bet you have the answer.
Of course, I have the answer. I have a answer. So our sages tell us something very important. You know, if your child was going on a camping trip, you'd want to know. Call me up every night. I want to know where you're sleeping. I want to know what time you're leaving in the morning. What are you having for breakfast? Right? It's very important because I love you so much. I need to know where you are. The Jewish people are Hashem's children, and Hashem wants to know where we are at every single stop. Because aside from Hashem just loving us and wanting to know about our whereabouts, it's also a sign of the Jewish people's willingness to follow and connect with Hashem at all times. That the Jewish people rested where God said to rest. They traveled when God said to travel. Learn to. It's like one of the things you do when you're training a dog. You tell them, okay, walk, stop, sit, stop, go. Right? You keep on training it. Let's go. That's the training that God is doing with us. Where we need to learn, and the Jews have a hard time with that.
Yes,
So,
indeed.
We need to learn to follow those rules. Where God says, now you camp, you camp. Yeah, but let's continue another day. Or we're too tired, we don't want to travel. God says, it's time to go, it's time to go. So, my dear friends, that concludes the review of Parshas Bamidbar. And next week, Monday, we will not have the Musar Masterclass. But Tuesday, we will have this class.
Okay.
Because the Yom Tov ends, Shavuos ends Monday night.
Are you going to start the Jewish book again then next Tuesday?
The what again?
Living Jewish book?
Yeah. Let me just, we're back.
Tuesday.
Yep. We're back to it.
Rabbi, what's the schedule
Are you still recording?
Oh, thank you.
thank you.
Thank you so much for listening.
What kind of a schedule